You're welcome to the lecture Fundamentals of Web Programming. In this 5th chapter of Basics of Web Design, we will look at graphics and text styling basics. Today's lecture on graphics and text styling basics will equip you with learning outcomes such as how to describe types of graphics used on the web, how to apply the IMG, figure, and fig caption elements to add graphics to web pages, how to configure images as backgrounds on web pages, how to configure images as hyperlinks, how to configure multiple background images with CSS3, how to configure text typeface, size, weight, and style with CSS, how to align and indent text with CSS, how to configure list markers with CSS, and finally how to configure an image map. Types of graphics. The graphic types commonly used on web pages are GIF, JPG, PNG, and WebP. GIF. Graphic interchange format is best used for line art and logos. It has a maximum of 256 colors. One color can be configured as transparent. It can be animated. It uses lossless compression and can be interlaced. GIF. GIF is a raster file format designed for relatively basic images that appear mainly on the internet. Each file can support up to 8 bits per pixel and can contain 256 indexed colors. GIF files also allow images or frames to be combined, creating basic animations. JPEG. JPEG is a lossy raster format that stands for Joint Photographic Expert Group, the technical team that developed it. This is one of the most widely used formats online, typically for photos, email, graphics, and large web images like banner ads. They're made up of up to 16.7 million colors. It cannot be animated and it cannot be made transparent. PNG. PNG is a portable network graphic supporting millions of colors. It supports multiple levels of transparency. Support interlacing with lossless compression. It combines the best of GIF and JPEG, and its browser support is growing. PNG file format is an open format with no copyright limitations. Like GIF images, PNG also have the ability to display transparent backgrounds. In addition to that, PNG files are capable of containing 24-bit RGB color palettes and grayscale images. WebP. WebP supports millions of colors as well as transparency. It uses both lossy and lossless compression. It is intended to provide improved compression for GIF and JPG images, and its browser support is growing. Google launched the WebP format as part of its mission to make loading times faster across the internet. WebP allows websites to display highly quality images, but with much smaller file sizes than traditional formats such as PNG and JPEG. More evaluations can be found by following the link provided. Image optimization. Image optimization is the process of creating an image with the lowest file size that still renders a good quality image. Usually, photographs taken with digital cameras are not optimized for the web, so the image optimization uses graphics application to reduce image dimensions and size of the image file. Optimize an image for the web. Image optimization are used to reduce the file size and dimension of the image to actual width and height of the image on web page. Some image editing tools are GIMP, which is free, and there is also a free version of Adobe Photoshop, and it can be found on the following link. When choosing names for image files, it is better to use all lowercase letters, avoid punctuation symbols and spaces, and never change the file extensions, which should be .gif, .jpg, .jpeg, or .png. Keep your file names short and descriptive. The image element is used to configure graphics on the web page, such as in brackets, we have the IMG src, equals to the GIF picture. Then we alter the name by calling it birthday cake. We're giving it a height of 100 and a width of 100. The src attribute is the file name of the graphic. The alt attribute configures alternate text content such as description. The height attribute is the height of the graphic in pixels, while the width attribute is the width of the graphics in pixels. Some of the requirements for accessibility and image includes configuring the alt attribute by alternating the text content to convey the meaning of the image. If the image contains a text message, the text should usually be the value of the alt attribute. For example, the image's file name use alt to decorate the image. Some suggestions include, if you cite navigation using image links for the main navigation, you will need to provide simple text links at the bottom of the page. Image links. To create an image link with an anchor element, you must include an image element, such as in brackets, a href, and so on, as shown on the slide. Browsers will automatically add a border to this image link. Let's configure CSS to remove the border. We'll use img brackets, border, and so on, as shown on the screen. A thumbnail image. A thumbnail image is a scaled down representation of a full-size image or brochure layout created as a first design step. It is also known as a preview image and is a scaled down version of the original image. A thumbnail image is a small image that is set up to link to a bigger version of the same image. As we can see on the slide, a small image is referencing a large image by using href tag, such as in bracket, space, href, and so on. CSS image background property sets the background image. The background image's style can be set to repeat. The CSS code below demonstrates how the selector, in this case the body, references background 1.gif in the URL. CSS background repeat property. The background repeat property sets how a background image will be repeated. By default, a background image is repeated both vertically and horizontally. So let's go to the code and see some examples. Here in the code, we have opened a document type called HTML. We open a HTML tag, we open the head tag, we open the style tag, and down below, we close the style tag, we close the head tag, and we close the HTML. We open the style tag up here, and we close it down here. But in between the style tag, we made some declarations using selectors. In this case, we're using the body selector. So we open the body here, and we close the body here. In between the body, we had all our declarations. So what are we declaring? We declare the background border, we declare the background, we declared font family, and we declared padding. So for the background, we had the background image, and the URL is the img GIF image that I kept in the same folder. For the background repeat, we had repeat equals to X. When repeat is equal to X, the background repeats itself horizontally. But when it's set to Y, the background repeats itself vertically. I'm going to show that to you in a minute. We also declare the background size. In this case, we had 40%. We also declare the border top. We give it 3 pixels and a solid color of this. We also declare border top right radius. For border top right radius, we gave it 70 pixels. So the top right radius, it's a radius that actually curves the border right at the top. I'm going to show that to you as well. And again, we declare font family. We give it Arial, sans serif. We also declare background color. We gave it this color. We declared its padding to left and gave it 40 pixels. Let's jump to the HTTP page and see how the repeat and radius appears. On the HTML page, we had a background, we had a background image, we have 3 lines of text, we had a border. Now, this is the radius I was telling you about, how it curves 70%. The padding is on this side. It's 40 pixels, but I'm going to change the sizes so you can see the effects as the design is supposed to appear. So let's go back to the code and make some changes. First of all, we'd like to make changes with the repeat. At the moment, it's on X and the repeat goes horizontally. So we're going to change this X to Y because we want the repeat to go vertically. So we've changed it to Y and we can jump back to the HTML page. Here on the HTML page, I'm going to refresh the page. Now you can see how the background image is repeated vertically. So this design is not really good for our end users. So the best is to choose the X, which made the repeat goes horizontal. So let's jump back to the code. So we're going to change back to X. So at this point, the repeat returns itself to horizontal. The background size takes 40% of the whole page. We gave this color to the border. It was 3 pixels and we gave it this color. So the same border on the top, we gave it right radius. Its right radius is 70 pixels. That means how it should be curved. Let's change 70 pixels to 20 pixels. We have changed it to 20 pixels and I've saved the file. And let's head back to the HTML page. So I'm going to refresh the page. Now we have our image background repeating horizontally and our border radius is now 20. You can see the small radius it gave us compared to 70. Probably the 20 pixel is much better than the 70 pixels. Okay, let's head back to the code and change it to, let's say 90 pixels this time. So we're changing the radius to 90 and we're saving the file and we're heading back to the HTML page. We're refreshing the page and now the radius has curved into 90 pixels. So which is better, 20 pixels or 90 pixels? Okay, let's try 20 pixels again. We change it and save the file. We head back to the page again. We refresh the page and it's 20 pixels. I feel 20 pixels is much better. Now let's try and change the paddings around and see how it looks. Here in the code, we have our padding left set to 40 pixels. Padding left means the padding on the left and we are setting it to 40 pixels. But if we were to change it to 20 pixels or even 10, let's change it to 10 pixels. So right now we change to 10 pixels and we're saving the file and we're heading back to our HTML page. So right at the HTML page, we're going to refresh this page and notice you can see the whole text has moved more closer to the border now because now we have 10 pixels padding. Comparing 10 pixels to 40 pixels, I feel 40 pixels is much better for a good graphic appearance. Okay, let's go back to the code and change it back to 40 pixels. Okay, we've changed it back to 40 pixels and we're saving the file and we're heading back to the HTML page. So we're refreshing the page and 40 pixels is here. Looking at the image overall on the page, we can see that 40 pixels is much suitable to centralize the entire text. I've also given the background this color as it's more suitable to the background image. So looking at the whole design, we have a top border with right radius. We had H1 text, H3 text, and H5 text. We also had our background image set to 40%. So the background image is this size and it's taking 40% of the whole page. But after repeating it horizontally, users are not able to know what the original image looks like. Let's head back to the code. So we open HTML tag, head tag, style tag, and we close the style tag, head tag, and we close our HTML tag. So further down between the style tag, we also used selectors such as H1, H3, and H5 to declare our text attributes. So for the H1, we gave it this color, very close to white. For the H3, we gave it this color, also very close to white, but in a different variety. And for the H5, we gave it this color, very close to white as well. The entire background is dark, so we need a lighter color for visibility. So we open the body tag here and we close it here. But in between the open and close, we had our texts. For the H1, we had background sizes and configuration chapter 5. For the H3, we had, by default, a background image is repeated both vertically and horizontally. And for the H5, we have this background image is set to 40%. We open the H1, we close it, we open the H3 and we close it. And finally, we open the H5 and we close it. The H5 is inside a paragraph. So we first of all open the paragraph and we enter in the H5 with the content and we close the H5 and finally we close the paragraph. So within the body, we implement all our declarations up here. Remember, we declared our background image, background repeat, background size, border top right radius, font family, background color, and padding left. We also declared our font attributes over here. And right within the body, we made use of all those declarations. So let's head back to the HTML page and see how this looks like. Right here at the HTML page, this is the H1, this is the H3, and this is H5. So H1 is bigger than H3 and H3 is bigger than H5. So once again, we declared our document type here, open the HTML, the head, the style. We close the style, we close the head, we open the body, we close the body, and finally, we close HTML. So at this point, we've completed our design. The font size property. The font size CSS property sets the size of the font. Changing the font size also updates the size of the font size relative length units such as an EM, PX, PT, and percentages. For instance, a font can be configured as in a bracket. We can have font size set to 90%. Here on the slide, we have set this font size to 90%. Instead of using H1, H3, and H5, we can generally set the font size equal to 90%. So looking at scales of fonts, you can see the smallest percentage all the way to the largest percentage. So the largest size is XX large, 2EM, 30 pixel, 24 points, and 200%. Next lower is X large, 1.5 EM, 24 pixel, 18 points, and 150%. Next one, which is large, is 1.5 EM, 18 pixel, 13.5 points, and 110%. The medium is 1 EM, 16 pixels, 12 points, and 100%, and so on and so forth. Align and indent text with CSS. Text indents specifies the first line of a text indentation. Negative values are allowed in a block, and if the value is negative, the first line will be indented to the left. The first configuration shown on the slide set the text alignment to center, while the second set first line of text in an element's indentation to 5 EM. More CSS text properties. Font weight property configures the boldness of text, such as weight equals to bold. Font style property configures the style of the text, such as font style equals italic. Line height property modifies the height of a line of text, such as line height equals 120%. Text decoration property modifies the display of text, typically used to remove the default underline from hyperlinks. For this instance, we have text decoration equals to none. Text transformation property configures the capitalization of text. For this instance, our text is transformed into an uppercase. Letter spacing property configures the space between text characters. For this instance, is set to 3 pixels. Figure list markers with CSS. There are 3 types of CSS properties available, and these are list style type image, and list style position. An example of a list marker using an unordered list is list style image, then the URL marker.gif. Favorites icon are small icons that displays in the address bar or tab bar of some browsers. It is also known as favicon. A favicon is a graphic image associated with a particular web page or website. Many recent user agents, such as graphical browsers and news readers, display them as visual reminder of the website identity in the address bar or in tabs. The code below contains an example of a favorite icon. Here on the slide, we can see a code displaying the favorite icon. We can see the link relationship linking to the icon. We can see the reference. We can see the href referencing the favicon icon, ICO for short. And we can see the type, which is image/X icon all in brackets. An image map defines the map, while an area element defines a specific area on the map. It can be set to rectangle, circle, or polygon using href attribute, shape attribute, and chords attributes. A list of examples is provided below. Figure and fig caption elements. The figure element blocks display and usually comprises a unit of content that is self-contained, such as an image along with one optional fig caption element. While the fig caption blocks display, it also provides a caption for the figure content. Chapter 5 Summary. In this 5th chapter, we examine graphics and text styling basics, taken from our main topic, Basics of Web Design. This chapter introduced the HTML techniques and technologies used to place images and configure text on web pages. This chapter introduces issues related to accessibility, and images were also discussed. The most common reason for visitors to abandon web pages is a lengthy download time. When using images, take care to minimize this problem. In summary, chapter 5, we examine the following types of graphics such as GIF, JPEG, PNG, and WebP. Furthermore, we looked at image optimization, optimize an image for the web, choosing name for image files, the image element, accessibility and images, image links, thumbnail image, CSS background image property, CSS background repeat property, using background repeat, multiple background images, configure typeface with CSS, the font size property, align and indent text with CSS, more CSS text properties, configure list markers with CSS, favorites icon, image map, and lastly is figure and fig caption elements. We have now come to the end of the 5th chapter of Basics of Web Design. Thank you all for your attendance.